The sky of London is always grey, and the black smoke sprayed from the smoke is like a band of lush silk belts, surrounding this steam-driven city. Link Ash wiped a handful of coal ash from his face and kept knocking on the iron tube in his hand with his head. Today is his 127th overtime work at the steam factory, and the worker's fat voice was still ringing in his ears. Link, you can't even repair your waste, and you still want to eat? Go to the corner to clean the waste, don't let people see you here. Link gritted his teeth and said nothing. He knew that the reaction was useless, and the worker Barker liked to exhale his baseball boy the most. Everyone in the factory said that Link was suitable for squeezing garbage in this dark corner, and even the rats in the steam pipes were better than him. He lowered his head and looked at his oily hands, and a fire ignited in his heart. One day, he would make these dog eyes look down and shut their mouths. Hey, Link, don't be stunned, the waste irons are piled up there, and you're going to have fun. Barker's roar came again, bringing some impatientness. Link curled his lips and dragged his heavy steps towards the corner of the factory. The pile of waste irons emitted the smell of iron lenses and oil, and it was like a hill. He picked up a piece of broken iron with his hand and wanted to throw it into the car beside him. He glanced at a strange color at the corner of his eyes. What's this? Link squatted down and pulled out an old sheepskin paper from a pile of broken copper irons. The paper is yellow and the corners are almost bloated, but there are some blurry lines and marks on it, which looks like a map. He felt a stir in his heart and secretly stuffed it into the pocket of his old coat. The factory is the eye line of the supervisor. If you are found to have something hidden in it, you will inevitably be beaten. After work, Link returned to his broken hut. In fact, it was a shed with leaks in the slum. He clicked a chicken of oil lamp and carefully opened the sheepskin paper. The streets of London are painted on the map, but some lines point to places he has never heard of, and some weird symbols, like some kind of password. Just as he was staring at the map, a faint blue light suddenly appeared on the paper, which scared him, almost knocked over the oil lamp. Both groove, what kind of black technology is this? Link lowered his curse, but his eyes lit up. The blue light flowed on the map, and finally stopped on a marker, and a few small words appeared beside it. The secret library, the first try. His heart beat faster, and there was only one thought in his brain: this thing was not simple, and it might be his chance to turn over. The next day, Link slipped out of the factory early in the morning and followed the guidance on the map to a remote alley in East London. The alleys were full of garbage dumps, which was so stinking that even wild dogs were worth it. The place where he found the map mark was a broken brick wall with an inconspicuous sewer duct at the corner. He gritted his teeth and lifted the neck, and a more stinky smell came over his face. Try it. Link felt soft and drew in. The passage is pitch black and can only be illuminated by the light emitted by the map inside. After walking for about 10 minutes, an iron door appeared in front of him, with the same symbols as those on the map. He stretched out his hand and just touched the door. The map suddenly shook, the blue light was soaring, and the iron door opened with a squeak. Behind the door is an underground secret room, with luminous crystals embedded in the walls around it, illuminating the entire space. In the middle is an ancient stone platform, on which is a black crystal the size of a fist is emitting a strange light. Link walked over and carefully picked up the crystal. In an instant, a cold energy penetrated into his body. A low voice came from the sea of brain: "The holder, get the core of the shadow, and the power is trying to open it." "What's the matter?" "Try to do it." Link didn't react yet, and a black light suddenly burst out from the crystal in his hand. He only felt that his body was light, as if it had been injected with some kind of power. He swept his hand and a piece of waste iron next to him was shattered, leaving no residue left. "Both trough, this is too awesome." Link looked at his hands and shook with excitement. He didn't know what this shadow core was, but this power could definitely make him turn over. He put the crystal in his pocket and decided to go back to the factory first to find an opportunity to try how harmful this thing is. Back at the factory, Link was working with his head down, and Bark's voice sounded again: "Link, did you secretly take this waste yesterday? There are so many jobs today, don't want to eat." The workers around him burst into laughter when they heard it, and some muttered in a low voice, "This ghost, I guess you will be beaten up. Link sneered, raised his head and looked at Barker. Backer, you have a good word on your mouth, don't always exhale me. I can't finish this job today, what can you do to me? Barker was stunned for a moment, then furious. Okay, you little bastard dare to speak out? Come on, hold him down, I have to teach you rules today. Two sturdy workers came over and prepared to take action. Link was calm and quietly held the shadow core in his pocket. You guys want to move me too? Link shouted softly, and a black light burst out from his palm, shaking his hands, directly shaking the two workers out, and even falling to the ground and unable to get up. Barker was stunned and said in a daze, You, what demon are you? Demon? This is called strength. Link snorted coldly, and took a step forward. Barker was scared to retreat a few times, his fat body fell to the ground, and his wolf was so angry. All the workers around were stunned, and the people who just laughed at Link were even more angry now. Barker, if you dare to make trouble for me in the future, don't blame me for being rude. Link dropped his sentence, turned around and left, leaving Barker and the helper stunned. He felt so happy, this was the taste of power. From today on, who should not try to step on him again? But the good times didn't last long. When Link returned to the slum, he found that the situation was not right. Several men in black clothes were sneaking at the entrance of the alley, their eyes glancing towards him. His heart sank. These people were definitely not ordinary gangsters, and they were probably obedient to him. Sure enough, one of the tall men left and said in a low voice, Boy, I heard that you have picked up something good, hand it over it, and save your life. Link glanced at the head and said silly, What's the matter? I'm just a slaughter worker, how can I have any money-worthy things? The man sneered, Don't install it. Someone saw you working in the factory, not using ordinary people's methods. Boss Carl Blackgold is very interested in your stuff and hand it over, otherwise this London will not have your foothold. Carl Blackgold. Link was shocked. This name was a nightmare in the slums. He was the head of the underground black market. He was cruel and ruthless. The people who provoked him never got off the scene. He clenched his teeth, and the surface was still as if nothing had happened. I really have nothing good to do, you're looking for a wrong person. Hard-mouthed, right? The man waved his hand, and several subordinates behind him rushed up, holding a stick in his hand. Link knew that he couldn't fight hard, and these people were not the wastes of the factory. He took advantage of the other party's failure to act, and turned around and ran towards the deep alley. Catch him! A roar came from behind, and several people were reluctant to pursue him. Link ran and was careless, and just revealed the truth at the factory. The news came to Carl Blackgold ears. He dripped into a narrower alley, and he almost fell down under his feet, but the sound of his feet behind him was getting closer and closer, which made him breathless. Mom, I can't run away. Link gritted his teeth and glanced at a sewer well next to him. When his brain heated up, he directly lifted it and jumped in. The well closed with a bang and the people outside knocked on the trousers, which seemed not so easy to give up. The sewer was moist and smelly, and in the dark, there was only the squeaking sound of mice. Link gasped in his wall, holding the map tightly in his hand, and the blue light lit up again, as if guiding him something. He looked down and saw a new line appearing on the map, pointing to the depths of the sewer, and there was a line of small words next to it, the way to escape, the second attempt. Are you trying to do it again? Link gritted his teeth. Although he didn't know what was ahead, he was better than being caught by Carl Blackgold's people. He took a deep breath, walked towards the depths of the darkness, guided by the map. Behind him, Jing Li was suddenly heard by the sound of the sudden opening, and the pursuers obviously did not intend to let him go. Boy, I can't escape. A cold voice echoed in the sewer. Link's heart beat faster and he didn't dare to stop. He held the shadow core in his pocket and prepared to counterattack at any time. In the darkness, the road ahead became narrower and narrower, and the light of the map became brighter and brighter, as if something was waiting for him. Link stumbled and ran in the darkness of the sewer. The slithering stone slabs under his feet made him fall a little by a few times. The roar of the pursuers behind him became closer and closer, as if he was yelling with his brain. He gritted his teeth and held the glowing sheepskin map in his hands. The blue light shook his eyes a little dazed in the dark, but at least it allowed him to see the road ahead. The lines on the map are constantly changing, like guiding in real time, pointing in an unknown direction. Mom, are these guys dogs' noses? No matter how hard they are, they can't get rid of them. Link lowered his curse and dared not stop his pace. The sound of the footsteps behind him mixed with the sound of the iron stick hitting the wall. It was obvious that Carl Hagien's subordinates did not intend to let him go easily. He felt nervous in his heart. Although the Shadow Corps was damaged, the enemy was still too tough. Once it was surrounded, he probably had no chance to escape. Just as I was thinking, a low-pitched ring sound suddenly came from the front, as if some machinery had been touched. Link stopped suddenly and looked at the shimmer of the map and found that the passage ahead was actually an iron wall, with a bunch of complicated wheels and copper tubes embedded on the wall, which looked like a large mechanical lock. The blue light on the map happened to be in the center of the wall, and a line of small words appeared next to it, cracking the machine switch, "Open the secret channel." "What's this thing? Do you still want to explain it?" Link was so angry that he wanted to imprison people, but the sound of the pursuers behind him was getting closer and closer, and there was no time for him to complain. He gritted his teeth, reached out to touch the pile of grunts, and tried to turn one of them. As a result, a harsh click sounded, and the whole wall shook, almost jumping up. "Boy, don't stumble, there's a dead end in front," a rough voice behind him roared. Link looked back and saw that several black-clothed guys had chased him less than 10 meters away, and the iron stick in his hand was flashing cold light in the glimmer of light. He felt panic and pressed several more wheels in a hurry, but the wall was just making more noise, and there was no reaction. "It's over, this is really over." Link felt a flash in his heart, and was about to take out the Shadow Corps to fight hard. A crisp female voice suddenly came from beside him. "Hey, stupid, can you press the flowers like this? Let's open." Link was stunned. Without reacting, he saw a girl in brown leather clutch coming out from the forks beside him. She was not tall, wearing a leather hat with a mirror on her head, holding a small wrench in her hand, staring at him impatiently. The girl didn't say anything, but pushed him to the side, squatted down and began to swell the pile of thorns. "Who are you? Why are you so hot at this time?" Link stomped his feet in a hurry, and the pursuers behind him were about to come. "Close your mouth, my name is Ally Iron, who is professional in mechanical repair. These locks are a little bitch to me." The girl didn't turn back, her fingers quickly turned the wheel, and she was still muttering in her mouth, "This is a 3-link ring lock. First, loosen the main ring on the left, and then turn the secondary wheel on the right against time." Link heard a fog, but magically, with Ellie's operation, the wheels on the wall began to turn regularly, and a low sound came from the copper tube, like some ancient machinery was awakened. In less than half a minute, a click sound was crisp, and the entire iron wall slid open to both sides, revealing a narrow secret passage. "It's done! Go in!" Ellie touched sweat on her head and pulled Link and drew it. Link didn't have time to say anything. The pursuers behind him had already rushed in front of him, and the iron stick hit the edge of the iron wall, and sparks were everywhere. "Don't let them run away!" The man in black clothes roared angrily, and several people tried to enter the secret passage, but Ellie took out a fist-sized copper ball from her waist with her backhand, pressed the switch on it, and then directly dropped it. After the copper ball landed, it exploded with a bang, and a large group of white smoke appeared, completely covering the pursuer's vision. "Run quickly, the smoke can only be dragged for a while." Ellie pushed Link and the two of them stumbled into the secret passage. The iron wall slammed behind them, keeping the roar of the pursuers out. The secret passage was so dark that he couldn't see his fingers. Link looked at the road with the blue light on the map. Ellie took out a small steam light from her pocket, emitting a faint light, illuminating the stone wall in front of her. The two ran for a while and finally stopped and gasped. "What did you just say your name?" "Ellie Iron?" Link wiped his sweat and looked at the girl who suddenly appeared suspiciously. "Why did you appear here?" Don't tell me you were passing by. Ellie rolled her eyes and turned her wrench back to her waist. Passed? Don't tease. I heard that there is a weird mechanical connection on the sewer. I came to study it specifically, and I met you, the unlucky guy, and I was chased and killed. Tell me, who did you mess with? Even Carl Hageen, who did you come to mess with you? When Link heard the name, his heart skipped a beat, but he still said with a hard head, it's nothing big, he just took something that he shouldn't have to take. They were sluggish. You are good at repairing machinery and knowing how to deal with the machine. What are you going to? Ally grinned and said, I'm just an ordinary steam mechanic who likes to study old antiques. Does the luminous map in your hand look simple, so let me show it? Link instinctively kept the map in the silence and said, this thing cannot be seen at will. Maybe there's a big secret hidden in it. You helped me, I thank you, but we should go our separate ways. TSK, a little bit. Ellie curled her lips, but she didn't slam it. She just pointed to the blue light on the map. But I remind you that the symbols and machine design on this map are 80% related to the ancient history of steam London. I guess the secret mentioned above may not even be known to the people. If you really want to unravel this thing, if I don't help you, I guess I won't be able to get the next one. Link heard a moment of emotion. Although she didn't trust the girl who suddenly appeared, she just now had a real impact on the technology that cracked the machine. If she could pull her into the group, she might be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. He hesitated for a moment and finally pointed, okay, let's work together, but the words are ahead, the secret of the map is mine, don't want to swallow it alone. Don't worry, I'm not interested in Zodiac, I just want to study these ancient machinery. Ellie slapped her chest and filled her face. I've decided, let's explain the topic of this map together. As the two were talking, the blue light on the map suddenly flashed, pointing to the depth of the secret passage, and a new line of words appeared beside it, the Noble Clan area, secret file, the key to the truth of history. Link and Ellie looked at each other and saw the surprise in each other's eyes. Noble Clan? That place is not something that people like us can go to. They are as guarded as dogs. Link, the Noble Clan is the core of Steam London, and the ruthlessness is very strict. People from the bottom are simply seeking death when they go in. What are you afraid of? With me here, you can handle any kind of guard. Ellie was confident and patted the toolkit around her waist. Since the map points out there, we don't go and take a look, isn't this opportunity in vain? Besides, don't you want to turn over? This may be your first step. Link gritted his teeth and felt a sigh of relief in his heart, okay, fucked. But Carl Blackgold's people are still outside, so we have to get rid of them first. Simple, there is an old steam pipe outside the nutritional clan area. We can dive in from there. Ellie grinned, took Link and continued along the secret passage, and soon found an exit to the ground. Under the night, the high walls of the Gui clan area stood far away. Every few meters above the wall, there was a steam sentry, and huge mechanical eyes swept away, creating a low buzz. Link and Ellie squatted in the shadows, so tight that they didn't dare to breathe. If you see, the pipe is in the corner of the wall, under the file library leading to the nutritional district. Ellie said softly, pointing to an inconspicuous iron bar near the distance. I have tools to cut open the lock, but you have to help me relax and don't let the sentinels discover it. Link clicks his head, holds the shadow core, and prepares for sudden situations at any time. Ellie quickly climbed to the iron bar, took out a small cutter that brought current, and began cutting the locks. The sparks are 4 times, and although the sound is not loud, it is still particularly harsh in the quiet night. Hurry up, the sentry's searchlight is coming. Link urged in a low voice, staring at the mechanical eyes that were far away. Ellie's hand speed was faster. After a few seconds, with a click, the lock opened and the iron railing was pushed open. Go! Ellie shouted softly, and the two quickly diamonded into the pipeline. The searchlight of the sentry behind happened to sweep, almost not seeing their backs. Link's heart beats like a drum beat, and he secretly avoided the disaster. The pipes were narrow and cramped, and the heat of steam made people's faces red, but the two of them dared not stop. They climbed for more than 10 minutes and finally arrived at the vent. Ellie pried open the cover with a wrench and looked out. Below was the basement of the archives in the Nutrition clan, surrounded by ancient documents and volumes. The blue light on the map points here, and there must be cats in the file. Link said in a low voice, jumped off the vent and began to search. Ellie was guarding the side, paying attention to the static surroundings at any time. It took no time for Link to find a sheepskin paper marked History of Taboo from a pile of yellow scrolls, which read, "The origin of steam London was not built by the nobles, but was created by the lost people. The nobles tampered with history, hid the truth, and the root of pressure." A symbol was also painted next to it, exactly like the tag on the map. Both trough, the noble clan really has a problem. Link was shocked, so excited that he almost didn't jump up. When Ellie came over and looked at it, she raised her eyebrows and said, "It's so irritating. If the nobles knew that we had discovered this, they would probably kill us at all costs." As he was speaking, a heavy footstep suddenly came out of the basement, accompanied by a low mechanical gecko. Link and Ellie looked at each other, and their hearts sank at the same time. It was too late, someone came. "Hide it," Ellie said softly, pulling Link to hide behind a pile of document cabinets. A few seconds later, the basement iron door was pushed open suddenly, and several men in the uniform of the noble clan team walked in, and Carl Blackgold was on the head. He sneered around, holding a steaming iron rod in his hand, and the sound was so cold that it made people feel cold. "I thought you could run so far, so I was hiding here." Link felt nervous. Unexpectedly, Carl Hagin came out of his own, and the noble clan team was still tied with him. He gritted his teeth and said to Ellie in a low voice, "We have to run, we can't fight hard." Ellie clicked her head, took out a small steam blowout from her waist, and threw it at Carl Blackgold's foot. "Let's go ahead." The blowout fell to the ground, and a group of smoke exploded in an instant, forming a group in the basement. Link took the opportunity to pull Ellie to the Tongfengku, and the two of them crawled back with their feet. "Don't let them run away," Carl Hagin roared, and several members of the team took out the steam gun and shot the vents. The Zebo hit the iron wall with 4 sparks. Link and Ellie crawled unbearably, and Ziwei passed by, shocked. Finally, they climbed out of the pipeline, and the two of them didn't feel relaxed, and they heard a low bird coming from behind. Several small steam war cars were pulled out of the Gui family area. The searchlight on the head of the car directly locked them, and the car was loaded with Carl Hagin's subordinates. "Mom, are these guys finished?" Link gritted his teeth, held the shadow core tightly, and prepared to counterattack. Ellie quickly took out a folding steam skateboard from her backpack, pressed the switch, and the skateboard opened, and white smoke appeared. "Come up, I'll take you away." Ellie rushed up and pulled Link to jump onto the skateboard. The steam skateboard emitted a sharp sound and rushed out, as fast as an arrow. The war car behind him was chasing him, and the sound of guns kept coming, and Zifu rolled out fire lines in the night. "Turn left and hide in the alley," Link shouted, and Ellie twisted her skateboard suddenly and turned into a narrow alley. The war car was stuck at the entrance of the alley because its size was too large, and it roared. The two took advantage of the opportunity to accelerate, and the skateboard slid on the stone road, sparking everywhere, in surprise, and turned the pursuit. But Link knew that it was just a temporary breathing, and Carl Black King and the nutrition team would not let them go easily. He looked down at the map in his hand, and the blue light began to flash again, pointing to another unknown location, as if telling him that the next trial had begun. Link and Ellie barely threw the car behind them on the steam skateboard, and the night wind shaved over their faces, bringing a chill of coldness. The stone road pit in the alley said that every time the skateboard slid, it would produce sharp friction sounds, sparking like sparks, as if it would fall apart at any time. Link grabbed Ellie's shoulder tightly and looked down at the map in his hand. The blue light was still flashing, pointing to a deeper place. A line of small words appeared next to it: "The Forbidden Area Underground, the Ultimate Truth." Underground Forbidden Area? Where are you going this time? Link was nervous and just escaped from the archives in the Gui clan district. Before Ispa was hot, the map began to act evil again. He gritted his teeth and shouted to Ellie, "Hey, the map is pointing to the underground. We have to find a place to go. Ellie controlled the skateboard and hid the garbage dump in the alley, then turned around and shouted, "Underground?" That was probably the forbidden area below the old city. I heard that the place was blocked a few hundred years ago, and it was full of ancient machinery and strange things. Even the nobles dared not enter in a casual manner. Are you sure you want to go down? What can I do if I can't go? Carl Hagin and the Nguyen clan team will definitely not let us go. The map means we have to go wherever we say. Link gritted his teeth. His brain was full of content that he had just seen in the file library. The history of Steam London is not what the Nguyen clan blew, and what kind of Nguyen clan builds a city is all nonsense. The true roots are hidden, and this forbidden place may contain the final answer. Ellie rolled her eyes, but still pointed. Okay, listen to you. There is an old sewer entrance in front, which leads directly to the underground prohibition area. Let's go in there. She twisted her skateboard suddenly and turned into another even more dilapidated alley. There was indeed a raw iron in the alley, emitting a fishy smell. The two jumped off the skateboard. Ellie quickly put away the equipment. Link squatted down and lifted the iron cushion hard. Below was a dark passage, which was hard to see, and could hear the sound of water droplets falling to the ground. He felt a little angry, but he still said with a hard head, "Let's go. Don't be too slow, the help guy behind can catch up at any time." Ellie lighted the steam light in her hand and jumped down first. Link followed him down to the passage. The iron clamp just closed, and the low sound of the warrior was coming from afar, and it was obvious that Carl Blackgold's people had chased him nearby. The two of them looked at each other and said nothing, and walked forward quickly along the passage. The passage was extremely wet, the walls were covered with moss, and I stepped on unknown sticky things when I was under my feet, and the smell in the air was soaked. The blue light from the map was particularly eye-catching in the darkness, guiding them to turn one fork after another, and finally stopping in front of a huge underground space. Where is this place? Link muttered in a low voice, and looked up. There was a huge underground cave in front of him. There were countless luminous crystals embedded on the stone walls around him, illuminating the entire space. There is a half-collapsed ancient sacrificial fortress in the center of the cave, which is full of strange symbols, exactly like the tags on the map. A pile of old mechanical parts and wheels were scattered around the fort, like some kind of abandoned steam device. Ellie's eyes lit up, and she couldn't help but squat down and lifted a wheel, murmured, "This design has at least several hundred years of history. These parts are not something modern steam technology can do. This place is absolutely not simple." Link had no time to take care of these broken copper wires. He approached the fortress. The map suddenly shook, and the blue light was magnificent, projecting directly into the center of the fortress, and a line of words appeared: "Unlock the last question and reveal the roots of Steam London." At the same time, the symbols on the fortress began to rotate slowly, as if waiting for something. "Talk? Come again?" Link slammed his head in pain and turned to Ellie. "Didn't you say you have any research on these old antiques? Come and see what this thing is going on." Ellie put down the wheel in her hand, walked over and looked at the fortress, and said with a brow, "This should be a symbol lock. These symbols must be arranged in a specific order to unlock it. However, it is hard to guess in this order. If you miss it, you may find a trap." She pointed to a pile of black skeletons next to the fortress. It seemed that someone had tried it before, but there was no good result in the scene. Link felt a little nervous, but now he has no way out and can only hold his head hard. He stared at the blue light on the map, and suddenly the spiritual light in his brain flashed. Wait, the routes guided before the map are always regular, and it may be possible that the order of these symbols is related to the route. He quickly recalled the order of symbols that appeared on the map, and said to Alice in a low voice, "Try this, first press the third one on the left, then the first one on the right, and then the one in the middle." Ellie was half believing, but she still pressed as he said. As soon as his finger touched the first symbol, the fortress sounded low, and the stone surface shook slightly, and Link's heartbeat was almost stopped. I was afraid that it wasn't something that was fatal to the touch. but after pressing the 3 symbols, a click suddenly sounded in the center of the sacrificial priest, and a gap was cracked. A stone slab rose slowly, revealing a hidden groove. There was a metal circle lying inside, with dense text and map lines engraved on the circle. "It's done!" Link almost jumped up and reached out to get the plate. As soon as I encountered it, a lot of pictures suddenly surged into the brain: the origin of Steam London, the civilization of the lost people, and the usurpation of the noble people. It turned out that Steam London was created by the lost people with ancient techniques, while the noble people were just invaders later. They slaughtered the Aborigines, tampered with history, and portrayed themselves as the founders of the city, and sealed the culture of the lost people underground, and never saw the light of day. Bog, this helps the precious clan is really nothing. Link gritted his teeth and slashed. These truths made him angry. When Ellie came over and saw it, she couldn't help but say, no wonder they kept these secrets and exposed their status just by exposing them. As he was speaking, a heavy footstep suddenly came from the entrance of the cave, accompanied by a familiar sneer. "It's not bad, boy, you really find this place. But, what if you find it? Don't want to take these secrets out." Link and Ellie turned suddenly, only seeing Carl Hageen walking in with a helping subordinate. The people from the nutritional clan team were there, holding a steam gun, pointing directly at them. The iron rod in Carl Hageen's hand was filled with smoke, and the smile on his face was so poisonous that it made people feel cold. "Take the map and the plate, and I can let you die cleanly. Otherwise, this forbidden area is your tomb." Link's heart sank, and he didn't expect that this guy would catch up with him so soon. "The terrain in the cave is empty, and you can't hide even if you can hide. You're even more desperate to fight," he said to Ellie in a low voice. "Drag the time, I'll think about it." Ellie clicked her head, took out 2 steam blowers from her waist, and pretended to be scared. Okay, let's give you something, don't shoot." She pretended to use the blowers as a round plate and walked slowly over. Carl Hageen sneered and stretched out her hand. As a result, Ellie suddenly pressed the shutdown, and the 2 blowers exploded at the same time, and the smoke instantly spread throughout the cave. "Run!" Link roared, holding the shadow core tightly, and taking advantage of the smoke toward a small passage behind the fortress. Ellie followed him tightly, and the sound of gunfire behind her was blown over their skin, and the stone wall was beaten to pieces. "Don't let them run away!" Carl Hageen roared, and after the smoke dispersed, he carried the man to chase him. Link and Ellie ran wildly in the narrow passage, with free stones under their feet, and they were stunningly running. "This door needs to be opened with a circular plate." Ellie gasped and quickly embedded the circular plate into the groove on the door. The iron door was filled with low birds, slowly opening, revealing a deeper secret room full of ancient mechanical devices, and a huge steam core in the center, emitting blue light, as if it was moving something. "What's this?" Link was stunned for a moment, but the sound of his feet behind him was getting closer and closer, and he had no time to look at it. He and Ellie entered the secret room and tried to close the door with their backhand, but the iron door was too heavy to close. Carl Hageen had already chased to the door, and the smile on his face became more and more lit. "Run, why don't you run? This place is a good cemetery." Link gritted his teeth, his brain flew quickly, his eyes swept to the steam core in the center of the secret room, and suddenly thought of the power the map gave him before. He suddenly lifted the map and shouted to the core, "If you really have any power, help me now." As the voice fell, the blue light on the map burst, directly connected with the blue light in the core of the steam. A powerful energy penetrated into Link's body, as if magnifying his 5 senses 100 times. He sniffed, and his palm slammed. The power of the shadow core combined with the map energy. A wave of light from black-blue burst out, directly impinging towards Carl Black-Gold. "What is this?" Carl Hageen's face changed drastically, and he raised his iron rod to hold it, but the power of the light wave was too great, so he shook him out directly, and he carried several subordinates behind him and hit the stone wall together, vomiting blood and falling to the ground. The members of other teams were surprised to retreat and dared not chase after him. "Bottle, awesome!" Link himself was shocked. he didn't expect that the mapping core could explode such a great power. He turned his head and shouted at Ellie, "Hurry up, let's find a way to run while they are confused." Ellie clicked her head and was about to find the exit. She suddenly shook under her feet, and the entire secret room began to shake violently. Large pieces of gravel fell from the stone wall, as if it was about to collapse at any time. The blue light in the steam core became extremely unstable, and it produced a harsh geese, which clearly showed some unstable reaction from the energy that had just exploded. "This place is going to collapse," Ellie shouted, quickly taking out a bundle of ropes from her backpack, traversing a wire ring next to it, and throwing the other toward a winding opening at the top of the secret room. "Climb up quickly, otherwise we will be buried here." Link gritted his teeth, grabbed the rope and started climbing up, and Ellie followed closely. Behind him, Carl Hagin got up, his face full of blood, staring at them resentfully. "You can't escape. I'm going to settle this map." The secret room was shaking more and more, and a huge sound came out of the steam core, and a group of blue flames burst out, and the entire cave began to collapse in large areas. Link and Ellie climbed desperately, and finally drilled out of the vent at the last moment and rolled into a small alley on the ground. The explosion behind him was terrifying, and the ground was shaking, and smoke burst out from the wind opening, like a hole in the ground cracked. "Ahem. Mom, I'm almost dead." Link lay on the ground gasping for breath, holding the map and the plate tightly in his hand. Ellie was not much better, her face was covered in dust, and she gasped, "This time, the Forbidden Land has collapsed. The nobles and Carl Black King will definitely not let us go." Link sat up tightly and looked down at the map. Although the blue light was dim, it was still flashing, and there seemed to be a new mark floating away. When Link and Ellie rolled out from the wind stutter, their bodies were covered in dust, and their faces were covered in sweat and soil, and the wolf was as if they had just crawled back from the ground. The explosion sounded behind him still blew around his ears, and the collapse of the forbidden area under the ground caused a smoke, as if the whole city was shaking. They lay on the stone road in the alley, gasping heavily, looking at each other, with a smile on their faces. "Mom, I'm almost dead." Link wiped his face and looked down at the map and the metal circle in his hand. Although the blue light was dim, the mark on it was still slightly flashing, as if telling him that the matter was not over. He grinned, and his voice was filled with ruthlessness, "But we have got the truth. This helps the nobles and Carl Black Gold, and they will have something to do next." Ellie sat beside her, panting, "Yes, if the content in this circle is exposed, the skin of the Nuan tribe will be stripped off. However, we have to find a safe place first. Carl Hagin is not dead and will definitely catch up." She took out a small steam communication device from her backpack and pressed it for a few seconds, and her face darkened. "Oh no, several old friends I contacted said that the Nuan tribe area has been blocked and there are teams around, so it is probably for us." Link gritted his teeth and his brain flew quickly, "Closed? That means they are afraid that we will expose the truth. Since that's the case, we can't hide it, we have to fuck the big ones directly." He stood up and looked down at the newly emerging mark on the map, pointing to an old building in the slum, with a line of small words beside it, "Last Gathering, Sound of Awakening." Slums? Wake up? What does that mean? Ellie looked over and looked at her and said, "Maps will let us go back to your hometown? There is no dog in that place, and the nobles don't care at all. Go back and have sex?" Link's eyes lit up, and a sudden flash of a big thought in his brain. Of course I'm not hiding when I go back, but betrayal. The helpers in the slums are all trampled under my feet by the nobles. They hate these nobles the most. Let's tell them the truth so that everyone can stand up together. No matter how awesome the nobles are, they can't stand the crowd. Ellie was stunned for a moment, then grinned and patted Link on the shoulder. "Okay, boy, I didn't realize you were quite good. Okay, I'll fuck you with you in this matter, but it's time to hurry up, the noble team and Carl Black Gold people will find this at any time." Without talking too much, Ellie quickly unfolded her steam skateboard and led Link toward the slum. In London under the night, smoke was sprayed with black smoke, the streets were filled with broken steam pipes and garbage piles, and the air was filled with a sense of anticipation. But as Link looked at these familiar scenes, a fire ignited in his heart. People here should wake up. The skateboard stopped in the broken alley of the slum, and the old building was right in front of me. This place was the only place in the slum that could save people. Usually, big guys would break at this trading point or hear some old people talked about the stories. Link jumped off the skateboard, stood on a broken wooden box in the middle of the building, cleared his throat, and shouted loudly, "Hey, everyone is here. I have something big to say." Several people carrying garbage around the building raised their heads and rushed over with suspicion. Soon, more and more people heard the silence and surrounded them. Their faces were full of numbness and fatigue, but their eyes were still curious. When Link saw that the person was almost done, he lifted the circle in his hand, and the sound was as loud as if it could penetrate this broken night. "Brothers and sisters, listen. Our steaming London history is not what the nobles say at all. They are not saviors, invaders, and bastards who killed our ancestors. There is the whole truth in this circle." Someone in the crowd muttered in a low voice, "What's the truth? What's the matter of the Nuan tribe with us? Wouldn't it be enough to live a good life?" Someone also sneered, "Boy, don't talk about these useless things. Can Nuan tribe let you talk? There must be a limit to bragging." Link was not angry when he heard this, and directly embedded the circle into the map. With a flash of blue light, the words and pictures on the circle projected into the air, like a huge light curtain, showing the origin of Steam London and the crimes of the nobles. All in all, the civilization of the lost people, the murder of the nobles, and the tampering of history, were all clearly clear. People looked at it, their eyes were red, some clenched their fists, and some whispered the spell, and the air on the square suddenly ignited. "This is a simple person to help the noble clan." An old man full of coal ash roared, his voice trembling, "My father was to give the noble clan factory to the noble clan factory that year, and they were exhausted. They also said that my father was secretly sneering, and he didn't even give him any words. Yes, my brother was beaten to death by the nutritional clan team on the street because he peeked at them." Another young man gritted his teeth, his eyes full of hatred. Seeing the crowd's emotions getting higher and higher, Link shouted in a hot iron, "Big guy, now we have a chance to turn over. The new tribe is afraid that the truth will be exposed, so he has sent people to arrest me in the city, but as long as our group is tied up, they will not be able to deal with us. Today, we will go to the new tribe area and expose the truth to their faces, so that they know that the bottom-level people are not easy to bully. Yes, go to the Gui tribe area. Revenge me." The roars in the crowd became louder and louder. Some people lifted old iron sticks and some picked up stones on the ground. Several hundred people quickly gathered into a torrent, and the sound was so huge that the night was ignited. Ellie stood beside Link and couldn't help but whisper, "You guy is so good, you're so big now." A vast crowd of people surged out of the slums, like an unstoppable wave, rushing into the noble tribe area. On the streets along the way, more people from the bottom heard the silence and joined the team. The number of people changed from hundreds to thousands, and the voice became increasingly huge. "Boys, who dares to step closer, don't worry about killing me." On the wall, a noble clan leader wearing a uniform roared. The steam gun in his hand was loaded, and dozens of soldiers behind him also set up weapons, and were ruthless. Link sneered, stood in front, raised the map in the circle, and shouted loudly, "Your crimes can no longer be hidden. Steam London is not yours, but the lost people, and the people of our bottom class. Today, we are here to make justice. Do you dare to shoot and try it, and see if it is fast, or there are many people?" The roars in the crowd affected the night sky, and the head of the nutritional clan team had a blue face and his hands were slightly shaking. It was obvious that there were so many people coming to do so. He was about to order the gun to open, a cold voice suddenly echoed from behind the wall, "Let them come in. I want to see what waves this helps the Yui people can draw." Link's heart sank. He looked up and saw Carl Hagin walking out from the wall. He also had scars left by the explosion of the forbidden area on his face. His eyes were even more poisonous than before. He leaned on the steaming iron rod in his hand and sneered, "Link, you really have a kid who dares to bring this helping garbage to the precious tribe to die. If you hand over the map and the round plate, I can give you a few more minutes. How many minutes have you done? I'll let you die first today. Link gritted his teeth and whispered. The power of the Shadow Core condensed in his palm and turned into a black light that directly thrust Carl Black Gold. The roars in the crowd rose again, and thousands of people rushed towards the high wall together. The stones and iron sticks hit the wall, and the scene instantly formed a group. Carl Hagin snorted coldly, and the iron rod suddenly slammed, and a wave of steam burst out, directly shaking Link's black light and shaking out the few stingers in the front row. He smiled and said, "Just like you want to fight me too? The new tribe area is not a place where you can spread the trash. Trump? I'll let you see who it is trash." Link's eyes ignited, and the map in his hands suddenly shook. The power of the blue light and the Shadow Core merged again, turning into a stronger wave of light, directly slamming Carl Black Gold. This time, the power of the light waves was amazing, and the air was torn apart, causing sharp geese. Carl Hagin's face changed and the iron rod was squeezing with all his strength, but he was still shocked and took a few steps back, and a blood scattered from the corner of his mouth. He gritted his teeth and stared at Link, roaring, "Good boy, you have some ability. But don't even want to leave today." He waved his hand, and the noble clan team behind him rushed down with his men. The steam gun and iron rod were squashed, and the scene instantly turned into a mixed battle. Link was in front, and the power of the Shadow Core exploded in his hands. Each shot could shake several enemies. Although the bottom layer had poor equipment, there were many people, and he forced Lin Fengyu to move forward with a gun on his back. Ellie supported her, throwing out a steam blowout. The smoke and explosion sound made the enemy stumbling, and sometimes knocked on several stealing guys with wrenches from time to time. "Link, Carl Hagin is handed over to you. I'll take someone to help the team," Ellie shouted, quickly organizing several young people, using a broken iron plate as a shield, and placing the team's firepower. Link pointed his head, his eyes locked Carl Hagin, and suddenly slammed over, "Carl, today you either die or I die." He slapped his palm, and the power of the Shadow Core condensed into a long black light spear, piercing the other party's chest. Carl Hagin sneered, and the iron rod turned, and the steam slam wave exploded again. The two forces collided, shaking the surrounding stone slabs cracked. He smiled and said, "Boy, do you think you can win me with some broken things? When I was in London, you were still wearing your pants. Hard-mouthed, right? Look at me tearing your mouth." Link gritted his teeth, and the map blue light rose again, directly fusing with the Shadow Core. His whole body seemed to have been injected with unbridled power, and his speed and power burst out with a punch. He burst out with a blast in the air, directly flying Carl Black Gold out, hitting the wall, and spitting out a mouthful of blood. "How could you, be?" Carl Hagin got up with a thrust, his face full of disbelief, but Link didn't give him a chance to breathe, and rushed forward and stepped on his chest. The black light in his hand condensed into a knife and pointed directly at his neck. "From today, Steam London is not like you. Say, where's the secret base of the noble clan? I'll hand it over, otherwise I'll send you on the road now." Carl Black Gold's face was blue, but felt the chill around his neck, and finally gritted his teeth and said, "Okay. I said, the base is under the smoke in the center of the nursing clan district, and all their crimes are inside. If I release me, I can lead the way. You don't need to take the road, your road is over here." Link snorted coldly, raised his sword and fell down with his hand. Carl Hagin let out a cry, and fell down at all and could no longer get up. A burst of shouts broke out from the crowd, and the bottom-level people watched this tyrannical underground boss finally silenced, and his military spirit was greatly boosted and his impulse became even stronger. "Brothers," Carl Hagin fell, and the nobles couldn't stop it. "Go in and lift their dogs." Lin Kao rolled the map and led his head into the nobles' area. The bottom-level people rushed in like a flood. The team could not stop it at all, and the festival retreated. A few hours later, the smoke in the center of the nursing clan was found. As Carl Hagin said, there was a huge underground base hidden below, full of criminal documents of the nursing clan's usurpation and pressure, as well as their private treasures and steam weapons. Link brought people to bring out all these things, and when everyone burned the documents and distributed the money to the bottom class, the majesty of the noble clan finally collapsed at this moment. At dawn, the high wall of the Gui tribe was pushed down, and the bottom layer stood on the ruins, feeling the smell of freedom for the first time. Link stood in the middle of the crowd, holding a map in a circle in his hand, shouting to everyone, "From today, Steam London is ours. The rights of the nobles are exposed, and the culture of the lost people will be picked up again. We want to build a new era, and who should not step on us again?" The shouts in the crowd were shocking. Ellie stood beside Link and grinned, "Boy, you're really fucked. Now you're a real legend. What should I do next?" Link looked down at the map, and the blue light finally went out, as if telling him that the mission had been completed. He smiled, put the map away, and said, "Next, we will rebuild this city and use the technology and culture of the lost people to make everyone live a good life. What about you, the Iron Master, are you willing to help?" "Of course I'm willing." Ellie slapped her chest and filled her face with excitement. "I've long wanted to study those ancient machinery. Steam London in the new era is indispensable." The two smiled at each other. Behind them was the sun that just rose, and the sunlight seemed to be kicking off the new era in this frosty city. Link knew that from today on, Steam London is no longer the world of the nobles, but to everyone who once survived. He clenched his fists, his heart full of hope. This city is finally coming to life.